Alright, listen up. Today we're diving deep into something not many people want to talk about, but everyone needs to know: the dark side of persuasion. Specifically, we're talking about 6 unethical psychological tricks that marketers, leaders, and even everyday people use to manipulate others. And honestly, these tricks are so powerful, they should be illegal. This isn't your typical self-help fluff. We're diving into real psychological tactics as laid out by Robert Cialdini, one of the world's leading experts on persuasion. His groundbreaking work in Persuasion unveils how people are influenced before they even realize it. But as with any powerful tool, these techniques can be used for good or for exploitation. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll be able to spot these manipulation tactics from a mile away and protect yourself from being someone's next victim. Like, comment and subscribe, and keep watching if you want to improve in life. Part 1. The Power of Persuasion. Before we dive into the specific unethical tricks, let's lay the groundwork. Cialdini's concept of persuasion isn't just about what's said to you, it's about what happens before you even hear the message. It's about setting the stage so that by the time the pitch or request hits you, you're already primed to say yes. Imagine walking into a room, and without realizing it, the music, lighting, and even the small talk are all subtly directing your mind to make you more agreeable, more open, more influenced. That's persuasion. And the scary part? You don't even notice it happening. Cialdini explains that context shapes decisions before we're aware of the actual choices. When someone controls the environment, they can control your response. Now, when done ethically, it's just smart marketing. But when these tactics are misused, they become tools for manipulation. Let's jump into the 6 unethical psychological tricks that exploit this persuasion principle. These are not only unfair, but borderline psychological warfare. Trick #1, the reciprocity trap. You owe me. First up, we have the reciprocity principle. Now, this one isn't new, and Cialdini has talked about it for decades. The idea is simple. When someone does something for you, you feel obligated to return the favor. But here's the unethical twist. People use this principle to trap you into giving back way more than what they gave. For example, a company might send you a small free gift, something trivial like a calendar or a pen. You think nothing of it, but subconsciously it creates a feeling of debt. Suddenly, when they ask for something in return, like buying their product or signing up for a service, you're much more likely to comply because you feel obligated, even though you never asked for the free gift in the first place. Why it's unethical? This trick plays on guilt. You're manipulated into feeling like you owe someone for something you didn't even ask for. In many cases, the value of what's given to you is insignificant compared to what they want in return. It's a classic bait-and-switch tactic designed to corner you into compliance. How to protect yourself? Recognize the manipulation for what it is. When someone gives you something unsolicited, remind yourself that you didn't ask for it, so you're under no obligation to reciprocate. Always evaluate requests based on their merit, not on a false sense of obligation. Trick #2, the scarcity illusion. Act now or lose everything. We've all heard the line, limited time offer, or only a few left in stock. This is the scarcity principle in action. When we believe something is in limited supply, our brain goes into panic mode and we make irrational decisions to secure it. Now, scarcity in itself isn't unethical. After all, some things truly are in short supply. But the dark side comes into play when people create false scarcity to trick you into acting quickly without thinking things through. Ever seen a countdown timer on a website that resets every time you refresh the page? Or maybe you've received emails urging you to buy now because an imaginary deadline is approaching. That's manufactured scarcity designed to pressure you into making a decision before you have time to reflect. Why it's unethical? This tactic exploits your fear of missing out, FOMO, and forces you into a state of urgency where your rational decision-making abilities are impaired. Instead of evaluating the offer logically, you're driven by anxiety and the false belief that you'll lose out if you don't act fast. How to protect yourself? Take a step back. Remind yourself that real opportunities don't expire in seconds. When faced with urgency, ask yourself, is this pressure real, or is it just being created to manipulate me? Trick #3, the foot in the door technique. Just say yes to this small thing. Here's another classic manipulation tactic, the foot in the door. It's simple but highly effective. First, someone asks you to agree to something small and seemingly insignificant. You say yes because, well, why not? Then once you've agreed, they slowly escalate their requests until you find yourself committed to something far larger than you ever intended. For example, a charity might ask you to sign a petition. That's an easy, low-commitment request, so you sign. But then they follow up by asking for a small donation. You give, thinking it's just a few bucks. Soon after, they're asking for even more, and you're more likely to comply because you've already said yes twice. Why it's unethical. This technique manipulates your natural tendency to stay consistent with your previous actions. Once you've agreed to something small, you feel obligated to continue agreeing to larger requests. It's a psychological trap that preys on your desire to appear rational and consistent, even when the stakes get higher. How to protect yourself. Recognize when someone is trying to escalate their requests. It's okay to draw a line and say no, even if you've agreed to something small. You are under no obligation to say yes to everything just because you agreed to one thing. Trick #4. The authority bias. Trust me, I'm an expert. Here's one you've probably experienced 100 times without realizing it. The authority bias. People are hardwired to obey authority figures, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, or someone wearing a suit and tie. Unethical manipulators exploit this by either faking authority or misrepresenting their expertise to gain your trust. They'll throw around credentials or titles that sound impressive, but when you dig deeper, they often don't have the expertise they claim. For instance, think about those financial gurus on social media who claim they can make you a millionaire in 30 days. They'll show you fancy cars, luxurious homes, and throw around big numbers to make you think they're legit. But often these so-called experts are just selling you a pipe dream. Why it's unethical? This tactic manipulates your trust by creating a false sense of authority. The person you're dealing with isn't genuinely qualified, but they rely on the illusion of expertise to convince you to comply with their demands. How to protect yourself. Always verify the credentials of anyone claiming to be an authority. Do your own research and don't be swayed by appearances or fancy titles. Remember, true experts don't need to flaunt their authority. Their knowledge speaks for itself. Trick #5. The social proof fallacy. Everyone's doing it, so you should too. Humans are social creatures, and we naturally look to others for cues on how to behave. This is known as social proof, and it's not inherently bad. We use it to navigate new environments or situations by observing what others are doing. But unethical individuals exploit this by faking social proof to manipulate you. They create false testimonials, paid reviews, or phony endorsements to make it seem like everyone is using or approving their product or service. Think about all those glowing reviews on Amazon, or the fake followers on Instagram that make someone look more popular than they really are. Why it's unethical. Faking social proof is a form of deceit that preys on your natural tendency to trust the judgment of the crowd. You're led to believe that everyone is jumping on the bandwagon, so you should too, when in reality, it's all just smoke and mirrors. How to protect yourself. Be skeptical of overwhelming positive feedback, especially if it all seems too good to be true. Look for verified reviews, and don't let yourself be swayed by the illusion of popularity. Trick #6. Anchoring bias. Let me set the baseline. Finally, we have the anchoring bias. This tactic involves setting a reference point that influences your decision-making, even if the reference is arbitrary or irrelevant. For example, a salesman might show you an outrageously expensive option first, knowing you'll reject it. But that high price serves as an anchor, making the next option, while still expensive, seem reasonable in comparison. It's a subtle trick that shifts your perception of value. Why it's unethical. The anchor is often deliberately misleading. You're being manipulated into thinking something is a good deal, when in fact the price has been artificially inflated. Anchoring distorts your perception, leading you to make decisions that aren't in your best interest. How to protect yourself. Recognize when an anchor is being set. Always compare prices, products or services to multiple sources before making a decision. Don't let the first number you see dictate your entire frame of reference. So there you have it, 6 unethical psychological tricks that should be illegal. These tactics are powerful, and when misused, they can lead to exploitation, manipulation, and bad decisions. But here's the thing, now that you're aware of them, you have the power to protect yourself. The next time you encounter one of these tricks, you'll know exactly what's happening, and you can stop yourself from being manipulated. Knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay alert, and don't let anyone use these tactics against you.